Hello friends, in today's sessions we will be talking about one of the most important chapter, that is taxonomy. Now what is taxonomy? Taxonomy is a branch of science in which we deals with the classification. It is a science of classification. So primarily the moment we talk about the classification, we can identify three things in the classification. The very first, what we call identification. Okay. Second, what we call nomenclature. And third, what we call classification. Okay. Now, what is identification? The moment we talk about identification, we need to identify any new species. And how we do it? We do it by comparing with the existing species. Okay. So there is one more thing in case of identification, that what we call typification. Now what is typification? Typification is what we can say, it is a legal system in which there are certain different types is actually given over there on certain basis on which a taxon is assigned, right? So there are different types like isotype, lactotype, paratype, right? Since these are not included into a syllabus, so that's why I don't want to discuss on all these things in detail, right? Let's move to nomenclature. Nomenclature is two types. One what we call binomial, okay, and second what we call trinomial. Okay. Now as the name suggests, the meaning of binomial is what? That the scientific name consists of two words, right? So let's take one example. For instance, there is a one name, what we call Magnifera indica Linn, right? Mind it, here I'm underlining it. So there are certain rules which is actually being followed over here. Now what is Magnifera? This is actually the genus. What is indica? This is a species. What is Linn? This is the name of scientist who named it for the very first time. Okay? Right. Mind it, this Magnifera, this G is actually being capital. So whenever we write the genus has to be written with a capital letter. Now, if you talk about the species is actually written by the small letter. That is the rule. Okay. And if it is a type written, it has to be written in italics form. You might have seen that scientific words are always written in italics form, right? But since we are writing with a hand or is a handwritten, so that's why it has to be individually underlined. Okay. Another thing is that scientific names are always written in Latin. Why? Latin is a dead language. Now, what is the advantage of using the dead language? You know very well that if the language is in use, it is a dynamic. It will keep on changing, right? For instance, suppose if I keep scientific name in Hindi, right? Then what is the name of Mangifera indica? Obviously, it is an arm. But what was the name of arm 1000 years ago? It was Amr. Same plant, two different names. What it is going to be after 1000 years? We don't know. It can be Ammu, it can be anything. So the same plant over the period of time has undergone changes and there are three possible names. So definitely this is not good as far as the identification or classification of plants is concerned. So naturally we are looking for such a language which is not in use, and if it is not in use, definitely the Mangifera indica will remain Mangifera indica even after 1000 of years. So that is why Latin is actually being utilized as a language to write the scientific names. Okay? Coming to the trinomial. It is of three words. So what are those three words? The first, obviously, this is the genus, right? The second, what we call a species. Okay? The third is variety. Okay, mind it, variety is actually being for plants. Okay. In case of animals, there is a subspecies. That is in case of the animals. Right? So this is the trinomial nomenclature. Okay. So we spoke about identification, we spoke about nomenclature. Now let's talk about the classification. Now how we do classify? Right? You know, the classification is actually done with reference to identification of certain essential categories. So what are those essential categories? Okay, so I'm taking over here essay. So there are 7 essential categories, 7, right? What are those? The first is kingdom. The second is phylum. Okay. Third is class. Fourth is order. Fifth is family. Sixth is genus. Seventh is species. Okay. So you can see there, these are the 7 essential categories, right? The highest being kingdom, the lowest being the species. Okay. Now, in these 7 essential categories, there are certain other subspecies, suborder, all these things are actually being included over here, right? And for that, I will be sharing a list of the prefix and suffix that is being utilized for all those things. Okay, and that is often figured in the competitive examinations, right? So this is all as far as the introductory sessions of taxonomy is concerned. In the next sessions, we will be talking about the diversity, right? Thank you.